Oh! Oh my god! The shots in this episode! Jesus Christ! Holy, and the music!
What is the meaning of this? No, please.
You disappoint me, Grand Maester.
I am your loyal servant.
So loyal that you told the Queen about my plans to send Marcella to Dawn.
No, never. No, it's a falsehood. I swear it. It wasn't me. Varys. It was Varys, the spider.
You see, I told Varys that I was giving the princess to the Greyjoys. I told Littlefinger that I planned to wed her to Robin Arryn. I told no one that I was offering her to the Dornish. No one but you.
Eunuch has spies everywhere.
Cut off his manhood and feed it to the goats.
No.
There are no goats, half-man?
We'll make do.
No.
How long have you been spying for my sister?
All I did for House
Oh
Lannister.
my god!
Always. Your Lord Father, ask him. I've always been his servant since the days of the Mad King.
I don't like his beard.
What? What? Oh, no.
How many hands have you betrayed, Pycelle? Eddard Stark, Jon Arryn.
Oh my god!
He knew. He knew the truth about the Queen, and he planned to act, to tell King Robert.
So you poisoned him?
No, never.
But you let him die, made sure he succumbed.
Lannister. I always served Lannister.
Get him out of my sight. Throw him in one of the black cells.
Oh, no. No, please, don't. You can't do this to me.
For your trouble.
No.
Oh, we did. Oh my god!
Priest and a rich man. Between them stands a common sellsword. Each great man bids the sellsword kill the other two. Who lives, who dies.
Depends on the sellsword.
Does it? He has neither crown nor gold, nor favor with the gods.
He has a sword, the power of life and death.
But if it's swordsmen who rule, why do we pretend kings hold all the power? When Ned Stark lost his head, who was truly responsible? Joffrey, the executioner, or something else?
I've decided I don't like riddles.
I gotta listen to that again.
Power resides where men believe it resides. It's a trick, a shadow on the wall. And a very small man can cast a very large shadow.
All of them. Standing there. Joffrey. The Queen. And my sister.
You know,
Oh. The kid with the bull's helmet, they're gonna think he's Gendry. Oh! Are you kidding me? I knew it. Oh shit. Arya. That's the end. Wow, what an episode. Whew. Wow. Okay. Well, let's hop right into the analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, we got some things to talk about here. We got a lot of things to talk about. So first of all, I like to like you guys all know, I go in depth at the end of these videos. For those of you who just want my quick take on the episode, I got a quick little overview for you here. Basically, the way I'll summarize it, and I like to let things sink in, but as of now, coming fresh off the episode, that was my favorite episode. Of course, people are going to point out episode 9, season 1, Baylor. It's probably one of the best episodes in the series. Oh, well, I don't know. But one of the best episodes, and I think it was a great episode. I think all the episodes are really great, but this episode was just the most well-made episode. I think the most well-acted episode. Even though my favorite actor, Richard Madden, old Rob Stark, he wasn't even in it, but it was the most well-acted episode to me, so maybe that says something. On top of it, but anyways, I digress. The directing is really what it really pushed this episode forward to the front of the list for me. It was the most enjoyable episode I've watched, so it had a little bit of everything in it. It was well paced, so I loved it. Great episode. I don't know if this is a very memorable episode. Once you get longer down the season, I know there's there's some stuff that happens for sure. So I don't know, but I don't know if it's a memorable episode. I would say if you guys haven't seen this one in a while, go just take a nice little needle and just, what am I even saying? Go and pay close attention is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I am actually saying, but what I'm trying to say is go watch this episode again if you haven't seen it in a while and you're like, why does this guy think this is the best episode so far? Go watch it again. It is exquisite. It is perfect. So yeah, it's a fantastic episode. That's my quick little overview. It's time to go in depth though, because that's what I'm about. Going deep. Okay, let's go on here. First thing I got to talk about, Jon and Mormont, Commander Mormont. After Jon's like, after old Incest Man, I forget his freaking name again. I call him Incest Man. I apologize. I'm a noob. But after he's like, hey, get the fuck out of here, pretty much. You're not welcome here anymore. Jon's like, dude, you don't understand, Commander Mormont. He's killing the baby boys. That's what they do to him. They sacrifice. And Mormont's like, you see his face, like he's like, fuck. He's like, I know. And you could tell, like, Mormont wants to do something, but then he kind of explains to Jon, like, it's like, they worship different gods. This is what they do for their gods. We do similar things for our gods, or not similar things, but he was trying to, you could see the pain on Mormont's face. It was great acting, really. It was a great moment to show, like, hey, you know what? It's hard to be good all the time. And Jon Snow is a very, very good moral character, and he's getting pushed farther and farther away from his morals, and just slightly right now. And you see Mormont has too. You know, he probably started off like Jon and has been pushed a little bit away from his morals just to be realistic. So that was a good moment. Moving right along ahead here. Oh, so this was something really interesting. We've talked a little bit about Renly here. The first thing I want to point out is when we first see Renly again with his Baratheon crown on, which is so badass, the antlers and the... I love it. But anyways, when we first see him, he's doing this like gladiator matchup. And I couldn't help but to draw similarities to Joffrey. And George R.R. Martin, the writers and the storytelling, it's very apparent. It's like, hey, the good guys aren't as good as you think they are. The bad guys aren't as bad as you think they are. And when you see Renly over these gladiators, and he says like one of the same lines Joffrey says after the fight, like, well fought. I think Joffrey says that. And obviously Renly's not as savage or disgusting as Joffrey. But it was a great similarity to show, like, hey, this dude's having people fight it out in front of him too. Remember when we saw Joffrey doing that? We just manipulated the music a little bit, and you just hate this guy so much, so it seemed a lot worse. It's very similar, and they're drawing similarities there, which I like, because it makes you like, huh, is he really that bad? I'll answer it for you. Joffrey is that bad, but it was an interesting similarity brought up. Continuing with Renly, the last thing I really have to talk about him is another thing with Game of Thrones. Like I say this a lot, it's a fantasy show with real life. That's a fantasy show that's more real than most shows that take place in the real world. What I mean by that is we see Renly struggling with being homosexual, right? That is such a real problem. And even in this fantasy, it is portrayed so real because the writing is so good, the directing is so good, and he is a great actor. And I just love seeing that real emotion, that real tension, that real problem that we can all relate to and we all know that goes on in our society. So that was fantastic. I believe her name's Brienne, the badass soldier that was fighting the gladiator and beat the King of Flowers. Caitlin says, that was a good fight, my lady. And she says, I am no lady. She's like, you can drop the lady, I am no lady, or something similar to that. And that's a great way. You introduce this character, you don't know how big she's going to be or what, but she seems badass and you like her. And you throw in this thing like, oh, I'm not a lady. You see the pain coming out of her voice a little bit. It's very good acting. It's a very good writing and very good directing because they portrayed it right, because I know that's part of her character. Big part of her character. So great stuff there from a new character that I'm excited to see more of. By the way, I think that's Captain Phasma, isn't it? From Star Wars? I'm not sure, but that's cool. I know she's in Game of Thrones. So next thing we have to talk about is a little bit of Sansa. So Sansa, she has a good moment after the dinner scene where she's having dinner with Cersei and Tobin and the little princess. Jesus, I'm sorry. The little princess Lannister. Starts with an M. I apologize. Anyways, I'll figure it out. Anyways, after the dinner with that, she kind of like, she sees like, she's so forced into being a different person just so she doesn't hurt herself or sacrifice any more of her family members. And she's like, yeah, I'll play along. And she sees how worn down, depressed, and just defeated she looks in the mirror. And there's just this like nice 5-second scene where she's just looking right at herself. And it was, I mean, stuff like that's what sets this episode up above, because we didn't have to hear her say anything. We didn't have to hear any dialogue. We just saw that shot of her looking in the mirror, and we knew exactly what was being portrayed. That's fantastic. Let's move on again here. Cersei. So I got a comment about Cersei that I was reading. Yes, I still read comments. I read all of them. Cersei, something defending her. Someone defended her, and you know, I'm a known Lannister hater. No, I'm just kidding, but I like all the characters. But Cersei, she was defended, and she had a moment when she thinks her daughter is going to be sent to one of the places, Dawn, I believe, basically be slaved off as a bride. You know, she instantly freaks out. And is she that different than the Starks then, right? She handles her emotions in a different way, and she behaves in a different way. but family's huge for her. We know that, and we see it displayed when she has this outburst at Tyrion when she thinks when her daughter's going, you know? So that was absolutely fantastic. That was great acting, and one of the first times I've actually really felt for Cersei. Not the first time, but I mean, I really was like, okay, this is her daughter. She's a human being. She's just like everyone else in the show. She's not some elite figure, really. She's not. Her weakness is her family. And we figured that out really quickly. And that acting with her and Tyrion, God, it's good. It's good. So that's a good Cersei scene for me. Okay, Theon. Got some more character stuff here with Theon. Theon, man, he found himself, right? He didn't fit in with the Starks. He comes back home and he thinks he's not going to fit in with his dad. We have that great explosion that he has at his dad's like, you gave me away. You gave me away. I was your son and you gave me away, and you blaming it on me. And his dad finally accepts him, and once he's accepted, you know that's where he belongs, right? Maybe he didn't feel totally accepted by the Starks, and he needed to find his place. He didn't have a place. He had problems. He had a lot of deep-rooted problems with abandonment, and he finally got rid of that problem, and now he's going to be a fierce warrior against the North and against everyone who goes in the path of his family. So, just more problems for Robbie. Let's talk about Tyrion, man. Quickly going up there on my favorite characters already. Tyrion, I mean, I think he was already third, but he might be, I don't know, I love Tyrion. That plan that they have is masterful, where he's trying to catch who's the Queen's spy, so he tells a different thing to Pycelle, a different thing to Varys, and a different thing to Littlefinger to see which one is told to the Queen. That's good writing by George R.R. Martin. I know that's straight from the book, that whole scenario. That is phenomenal writing. That's a great... And it just shows you, and as far as the characters go outside of the writing and the outside aspects of making entertainment, as far as the character goes, it just shows that all these smart characters that we've been built up, Littlefinger, Varys, and Pycelle, we know they're manipulative, they're smart, they're sneaky. No match for Tyrion's smarts, man. He is elite when it comes to that. We got Jaime Lannister and Robb Stark, who are the fighters, they're the elite fighters. Tyrion's the elite brain. He's better than anyone else in the show. So that's what I got from him. Tyrion, Peter Dinklage, by the way. Good God, what an actor. That's all, like, most of the general stuff, or I'm sorry, the character stuff I got for you. I do have a lot of general stuff to go over just because of how amazing of an episode this was. Let's talk about directing. Point out a few scenes specifically here. Bran, in the beginning, we can see the Bran scene. We're continuing to go through his nightmares, and we follow, how can I not remember the guy's name? Odor. We follow Odor. We see from his first point of view. First we go to him. It's like this nice solid shot around this corner, and then we see Odor, and then we go from Odor's point of view, and the music intensifies, like the nightmare that Bran's having. Interesting music. I don't know if it's foreshadowing. I did not recognize it. But anyways, we see first person from Odor, and we come in, and it's Bran's looking his dog right in the face, and whew, that's some great directing to start out the episode, and it only gets better. And then the Sansa scene we talked about, where she looked in the mirror before that. We're sitting at this beautiful dinner table with the kids, and the kid Lannisters, and Cersei, and Sansa, and we see Sansa, she just looks torn down. She's eating. It's great directing, great storytelling through directing. And let's talk about cinematography too, because that scene looked beautiful. Just the way it was laid out with the dinner table and how elegant and royal it looked, but at the same time how depressing it was by throwing Sansa in there. That's what makes the directing good. It was a good scene. Oh God, the best directing of the series when Tyrion's doing his little plan with Master Pycelle, Varys, and Littlefinger, and the way it transitions the scene between both of them. You'll see my reaction to that, but that was just magnificent. So, some of the best directing I've seen. It was so masterfully done. I loved it. I loved it. Oh, I get giddy talking. I can't even form a sentence. It's so great. It was It just, TV, you don't see stuff like that in movies, let alone TV. It was a great form of transitioning, and we see the transitions are so good in Game of Thrones, like in the first episode of season 2 with the comet transitioning. So all our characters we've been following all have that common axis point looking at the comet. Some good directing. The Tyrion plan scene with Pycelle, Littlefinger, and Varys. It's a great scene. It's really a great scene. And then the last shot. There's plenty of shots to go around in this, but Theon, when he's got the letter that he wrote to Robb Stark, when he burns it, it's just him in the dark, illuminated by the fire. And directing, storytelling, right there. You don't have to say anything. You just have to show it, and you have to direct it right. And they did, and we saw that. Theon was like a phoenix, right? He was burning that and rising from the ashes to become the character that he's going to be moving on. Good stuff, man. This is a great episode. Music. I have been doing my best to pay attention to music. There's a lot of good music. Renly had some good music when he's talking to, I don't know who his wife is, or there's some good music when they're talking about how she has to be impregnated and how she needs to bear a son to be taken seriously. And good music on the Bran Nightmare scene. There's some really good music. There, just all throughout it, there's really good music, and I really need to go through and try to figure out, listen to them in isolated senses, like on YouTube, to get the Lannisters, all the themes down, so I can catch some of the foreshadowing. I read the comment about how when the bastards were being killed, it was the king's theme, and that's how I should have known it was Joffrey from that before I was even told, from the king's theme. And I think I don't know if I do this in the reaction, but I know I thought it was Joffrey initially, and then I went to Cersei because I was like, oh, it seems like they want me to think it's Cersei, but I thought it was Joffrey. I think maybe subconsciously the music, I got it. Subconsciously, just like it flowed so well that it helped me interpret that as Joffrey initially. So maybe that's it, but I don't know. I'll try to isolate the music more so I can pick out more things like that as well. So acting, man, there was some good acting in this. We'll start off with the scene between Jon Snow and Commander Mormont. Good, especially Commander Mormont. You see Jon Snow, and he's just like, listen, I know you're gonna be pissed, but you don't understand. You don't understand, man. And you see his struggle, right, with what's happening, and then you see Mormont struggle with how he's like, oh my God, I've become numb to this. Jon Snow realizes how disgusting this is, and it's just like, oh, to me. And when he realizes that, we see this expression on his face of disgust with himself. It's really good. Catelyn gave me some goosebumps, man. She, when we first see her meeting Renly, she's kind of getting berated by people like, oh yeah, why doesn't Robb Stark come instead of hiding behind his mother? And she gets fierce and defends her family because she loves her family. She really portrayed some acting skills there. I don't know how to she had a good snap to it, and it felt like real emotion, which a lot of times when it's anger that comes on like that can feel really dialed in, but it felt real. It felt like she as an actress knew the motivation for that anger very well and let it just hit the boiling point at the very top, just boom, and come out of there. It was good stuff. Theon, wow, is what I wrote in my notes. I wrote Theon, wow. His scene with him and his dad, where he blows up. He's like, you are the one who gave me away, yet it's my fault. He's like, you're blaming this on me. You let them take your son. You're the weak one. Oh, just going off on his dad, and man, you feel for the guy really, and it's like, Theon he really shone in this episode as far as an actor, and he showed his. I mean, we've kind of seen him as this mysterious almost character, and what I mean by mysterious is like, what is he about? Like, what's his deal? And we figure out his deal because he keeps so much things inside, like a lot of males do. His feelings for Rose, the prostitute, he kept inside. He keeps it inside, and then we finally see it, boom, breaks up. And I have abandonment problems. You gave me away. What the fuck, right? He portrayed that so well, and I mean, you really got to know your character to portray that as well as he did. He knows his character, and he's talented. So, great stuff there. And then I just got to comment on Peter Dinklage's acting as Tyrion. He's given some of the best lines, some of the best stories, some of the best material to work with, so it may not be considered as hard. But his character, he owns that character, man. He owns Tyrion, and no one else could do Tyrion. No one else. He might be one of the most talented actors I've seen in TV. Peter Dinklage is truly incredible, and he really shone in this episode. Just overall, man, between the acting and the directing in this episode was just phenomenal. I saved the ending for last. I did predict what was going to happen, where they were going to confuse that other kid as Gendry, which I think is pretty obvious. So I'm not like, oh, look at me, I predicted something in Game of Thrones. But anyways, I predicted when he picked up the Bull's Tumbling. I think most people predicted that. But I mean, come on, Game of Thrones writers, you're gonna. I don't even know that guy's name. I know he's the Night's Watch, the crow that watches over Arya. He obviously knew Ned Stark, and Ned Stark, they were in cahoots together. But you get real close to him. He has this great moment with Arya, and then boom, we're gonna kill him. Really, it almost got tears out of me. I don't know if I did cry, but I was pretty close to, just because I was like, oh my god. But his final stand was really well done. That was another really well directed scene and really well acted. The action sequences didn't feel like, okay, this episode's been a lot of dialogue, let's throw in some action. No, it didn't feel like that at all. It was great. The end of the episode where I'm just, man, I wonder what's going to happen to all those prisoners. I think Arya letting those prisoners out of the burning cell is gonna help her. I think they're going to come back and help free Arya and Gendry. I don't think they're going to go back to King's Landing. So it's a good ending. I can't wait to get into the next episode for that. I also wanted to touch on my favorite part of the episode. One of my favorite parts was when we figure out Pycelle is a spy and Tyrion's kind of getting evil, nasty. Right, and that's going down to the thing. It's like Tyrion, he's supposed to be the good Lannisters, but is there really any good guys in this besides Ned Stark? Ned Stark's a good guy. He is. But Tyrion, he told Pycelle, he threw him in a dark cell. He's getting it all figured out, man. He's getting power. That riddles with Varys about how the smallest people sometimes have the biggest shadow. It's good stuff, man. And Pycelle, I'm glad we finally figured out what was going on with his character, and that he was a spy for the Queen. That was really good, and we figured out he's behind some of the deceit of the hands of the kings. And Tyrion's like, no, not me. That's not happening to me. I'm not going to be the next dead hand of the king. Jon Arryn, Ned Stark, Tyrion's here to... Excuse me. Hiccups. Tyrion is here to stay. I feel like that took me an hour to say. Anyways, guys, sorry if I look a little tired in this video. It is pretty late, but I wanted to get an episode watch for you guys so I can get something out there. Again, loved the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed my review of it. I'll be coming at you soon with another one. Peace and love. I'm outie.
You have been stopped.
Been busy working all night, and I'm telling everybody I'ma get it right. They know what I'm living like. I've been busy going all out, and I'm telling everybody.